Abraham was now 100 years old, and Sarah was 90 years old, and they still had no children. Had God forgotten his promises to them? No. God fulfilled his promise to them, and Sarah became pregnant, even though she was past the age to become pregnant. God can do the impossible, and he permitted Sarah to become pregnant even though she was very old. Sarah gave birth to a boy, and they named him Isaac. Abraham loved his son Isaac very much. When Isaac was about 20 years old, God decided to test Abraham's faith. God told Abraham to take his son, whom he loved very much, and sacrifice him to God. The next morning, Abraham gathered the things needed for making a sacrifice, and they began their journey. After a 3-day journey, Abraham told the servants to stay where they were, and he and Isaac would go to worship God, and then they would return. Isaac carried the wood, and Abraham carried the knife and the fire. As they walked, Isaac asked his father where the animal was that they would use for the sacrifice. Abraham told him that God would provide the sacrifice. When they came to the place God had told Abraham about, Abraham built an altar. Then he tied up Isaac, and he put him on the altar. Abraham believed God had given Isaac as the promised son, and Abraham knew God would keep his promise. So Abraham obeyed God, and he raised the knife to kill Isaac. Just then, God spoke and said, "Abraham, do not kill your son Isaac." Then God showed Abraham a ram caught in the bushes. God told Abraham to sacrifice the ram instead of Isaac. God had prepared the ram that was to die as a substitute for Isaac. Then Abraham and Isaac sacrificed the ram, worshiping God. Abraham had great faith in God. Abraham believed that even if he had sacrificed Isaac, that God would have caused Isaac to become alive again, so that God's promise would be fulfilled. After Abraham sacrificed the ram, they returned to the place where the servants were waiting for them.